Dear Derry. We had a pretty good Paul said pod show. That doesn't make any sense at all. It was a pod show we did today. Podcast. Pretty good. Both of you. I really need to start turning these things off before. It's been quiet for like 20 minutes up until now. And as soon as I start recording, they just start. And it's not like I told anybody that I was going. Well, it's not like I told anybody who would be texting me that I was going to be recording, but I told my housemates. But anyway, so we had a pretty good podcast today, and there were 5 of us, which is 2 people more than normal, which was very cool. We're kind of worried that it might get a little bit cluttered with a cacophony of too many people talking, but it actually went pretty smoothly, I thought. Yeah. So, some of the stuff we were talking about was, like this. There's this one guy. I mean, just pure, unadulterated troll on the RSI forum website. Well, RSI website forum. Just absolute troll. He's just, he's there to stir up shit, and people keep falling into his trap. It's a little bit pathetic in an amusing sort of way, or maybe it's a little bit amusing in a pathetic sort of way. I'm not really sure which it is, but it's one of them. Anyway, so, we talked about, that was mostly about PvP. And by and large, all 5 of us were like, no, PvP has a place in the game. Absolutely. We're not saying you can't have it. We're saying that it's wrong of you being the people who are screaming that, there has to be PvP in the game, and that we Care Bears, saying that they can't have it is wrong. And we're not saying you can't have it. We're saying that we don't want to do it. And just like you saying that it's got to be in the game, and the fact that we don't want it is stupid and we should go play something else, the reverse is also true. Just because we don't want to do it doesn't mean that you have the right to force us to. If you want to absolutely play PvP and you think that everybody should have to, go play Eve, or go play Darkfall. Darkfall was actually kind of a fun game, nowhere near kind of a space sim sort of thing. It was very kind of D&D style, kind of like, I guess it would be the closest comparative I would put to it, even though it didn't look anything like it, was Skyrim, at least as far as how the game mechanics felt. If you were going to shoot somebody with an arrow, you had to account for the fact that the arrow was going to drop. You had to account for the fact that if this person's patrolling, you have to time your shots of the arrow and they get to the same point at the same time. That was especially funny. And it was always PvP, constant PvP, and there were no factions. You could attack anyone at any time. It had some very cool elements, and I did enjoy that game, even though it was PvP all the time, because there was no non-PvP. But I knew that going in. I knew that going in that this was going to be the state, and so that was the gameplay experience I wanted. When I wanted to have that experience, I would log into the game. Anyway, so we were playing. This is back when I think I was still working on Spore at the time. But I was playing with several of the other QA leads who worked at EA, and they were basically tanking, and I'm like, sniping with a bow from way off. And they are because I was a pretty good shot from far off with a bow. And they're like way down in the middle of this cavern, and I'm standing up on a ledge in the wall shooting. And I'm like, well, just, stay off to the side and tank. Just don't get between me and him, okay? Because friendly fire is definitely an option here. Don't do that. And so they're sitting there fighting, and for some reason they keep moving around this mob as if that's going to help. I mean, yes, dodging side to side does help you dodge the strikes, but not all the way over to the other side, and certainly not between me and him. Move to the other side of him. So I try to that's much better. Cough on the side where the microphone isn't. So I'm trying to lob an arrow. I pull a drawback, and I line up my shot. I shoot. The arrow starts its travel, and he moves. He doesn't move to the other side of the mob. He moves between me and the mob, and the arrow goes right in the back of his neck. Thunk! It would have hit the mob, the guy he was fighting. It would have hit him like right in the neck there. Would have been a beautiful, beautiful flanking shot. Instead, I got a critical shot on him because I shot him in the back of the frickin' neck. And he's like, I hear him from across the bay. Dude, why are you shooting me? I'm like, I told you not to get in the way. I had already released the arrow and you moved. He's lucky he was so goddamn cute. Anyway, so Darkfall, fun game. And even with WoW, I did PvP when I wanted to. But, I didn't have the audacity, which I'm using to record it, to tell people that just because I don't want a PvP, you can't have it. No, I'm not going to do that. That makes me a prick. I would appreciate the same courtesy in return. You want a PvP? I'm sure there's plenty of other people that want a PvP with you. The reason that you want to go out and gank PvEers is because you know they don't want to fight. And we call that griefing. And it's not a cool thing to do. Moving on. Similarly to griefing, there is getting your driver's license. Don't ask. I'm going with it as a segue. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine I believe she's in another country. I'm pretty sure she is. And I think she had either one of her driving lessons today, well, to her yesterday, or she had like her first part of her driving test yesterday. And one of the last things I told her was make sure you have your mirrors set correctly. Because a lot of people that I know don't set their side mirrors properly. Side mirrors in particular. Rear view mirrors are usually set right. They're set to look behind you. Now, the way I have always understood it is that your rear view mirror is for viewing what is to the rear of you. It's for looking behind you. Your side view mirrors are not exactly. They are for eliminating your blind spots on this side and on that side. So basically, your field of view is whatever you can see in front of you, out to the edges of your peripheral vision. And then there's this blind spot from here back to where the rear view mirror allows you to see. So it's that gap from here to what you can see there. That is what, when you turn to look, that's what this side mirror or that side mirror is for, is clearing that empty space. So if you can see the sides of your car in your side view mirrors, they're in too tight. Move them out. Move them out. You should not be able to see your car. The purpose of your mirror is not to look at the side of your car. You want to look at your car, park it somewhere, get out, get out of your car, get a coffee, and stare at it. Don't look at your car. But laws are different in various places. It is entirely possible that wherever she is, because she said that her driving instructor told her, that's not what he told her. So it's possible that wherever she is, it's different. What else? We talked about the podcast. The only other thing I really have, and we're kind of, sort of, but not really closing in on 9.5 minutes. For you guys, it's probably closer to 9.25. Is the over on the Roberts Space Industries, the Star Citizen website, there is the Galactic Guide, and I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and start narrating those entries and stuff, because a lot of them talk about whatever the planetary system is that that they're covering that particular time, or motorcycles zipping by, probably driving down Wolf Avenue. So yes, I'm going to be narrating those with some regularity. Not exactly sure when. I'm supposed to be dog sitting this weekend too. I have discovered that today. So the couple that I dog sit for are going to try one more time to go out of town. We'll see if it happens. Apparently, one of them, his best friend, I think, is being ordained as a minister, and he's supposed to go and preach at this ordination. I don't know what it's called. Right. So, not much else, really. Next podcast is on Friday. Should be the Into the Portal podcast for EverQuest Next. I heard a rumor today that the guys over at EverQuest Next, over at Sony, are going to start their own podcast. That could be very interesting. While some might say, they're cutting into our business. Well, no. I mean, well, yeah, no, not really. See, the advantage that they have is that we are stuck reporting whatever or commenting on whatever news we have managed to, get from them. So that's an extra link in the chain that they don't have to deal with. They can determine, okay, we've got this podcast coming up. What are we going to tell our viewers? So it is in their best interest to release more information, because otherwise they won't have a whole hell of a lot to talk about. So from one perspective, them doing a podcast means there'll be more stuff for us to talk about. So what if they talk about it first? That's how rumors work. I mean, how do you think Paul Bunyan and that silly ox of his ever got to be as big as they are? I know that tall tales and rumor mills are not the same. Right. So, about 12 minutes now. I'm going to go and finish drinking the rest of my Diet Cherry Vanilla Dr. Pepper. And I will talk at you guys. Was that product placement? No, not quite. But I'm going to go. And I will talk to you guys later on. Oh, sorry. See, you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. Today, probably for the next, let's call it 20 hours or so, I think it's selloutwoot.com. If you go to woot.com, WOOT.com, you get this thing. And if you look across the top of the thing, one of the things is Sellout Woot. And it's a doggy DNA test. And as soon as I saw that, I immediately thought, like a paternity test? I know that's not what it's for. But that was the first thing I thought when I looked at it, because, I'm a freak. And so, I tweeted, is your dog pregnant and you're not sure if you're the father? Now you can find out. And linked to the thing. So, yeah, if you needed a doggy DNA test, it's to find out what breed your dog is. If you've got like a mixed breed who's like all kinds of mutt, that's okay. They can tell you. But, whatever. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I will, because apparently the cops are coming, and I will go and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. So until then, be careless.